Good morning, all of you. Now, today, in continuation with the same history chapter, Independent India, we will have a look at some more features of our constitution, and we have already seen a lot. Now, while the constitution was being discussed, there was one more important concern of the Constituent Assembly, and that was language. Under the British rule, English was the official language of India, but now when India got independence, so many felt that English should now be replaced by Hindi. But the states which did not speak Hindi, now they have a very different opinion, and T.T. Krishnamachari, he conveyed a warning to the center government on behalf of the non-Hindi speaking states, and that was from south, and he said that many of the states, they threatened that they will separate themselves from India if Hindi was imposed on them. So, some of the non-Hindi speaking states of south, they did not wanted Hindi to be imposed on them, because obviously they were non-Hindi speaking states and already they had been doing work in English. And so, a compromise was achieved, and Hindi would continue to be the official language of India, whereas English would be used for courts, for communications, for services, and for other official work. And so, the unity of country remained intact. It did not break down even because of language. Now, many important and prominent people, they contributed to the framing of this constitution, and the most important role in the framing of the constitution, it was played by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was the chairman of the drafting committee of the constitution, and now he said that political equality, it should accompany, means political equality, it should be accompanied by, or it should have to it social as well as economic equality also. And he said that just giving the right to vote, or just giving political equality to people, how in what terms or what it really meant was that all the people were given the right to vote, and each vote had equal value, and so all citizens were given the right to vote. But what he meant was that just by giving the right to vote to each and every person, now that will not remove the inequalities that existed among the people, like the inequality between rich and poor, and the inequalities between the high caste and the low caste people. And so what he said when this new constitution was adopted, so he said that with this new constitution, India was going to enter a life of contradictions, means opposing things, opposite things. And why? Because in politics, Dr. Ambedkar said that in politics, people would have political equality. In politics, they will have equality because everyone will have one vote and each vote will have equal value. So, like in politics, they will have equality, but still in social and economic sense, they will still be unequal. Why? Because our social and economic structure have been like that, it was difficult for all the people to consider others equal to them, like the people belonging to the high caste, for them considering the people belonging to the lower caste, the Shudras, to be equal to them, now that was a very high asking, and that was very difficult. So that is what he meant by saying that India would enter into a life of contradictions. In politics, we will have equality, but in society and in economic terms, they will continue to be inequality because of our social and economic structure. Okay. Now, when the national struggle for independence was going on, so during that time, the Indian National Congress, they had promised in around 1920s that once the country it got independence, then the states here in India, or they will be again restructured on the basis of language, or they promised, you could say they promised each linguistic group, they promised the linguistic groups or the different language groups that once the country it got independence, they could have their own province or they could have their own state. You know, earlier in India the states were called as provinces, and so the Congress promised that once they got independence, the different language groups they can have their own states. Uh, but you know what happened after independence? The Congress did nothing to honor their promise. They did not go about fulfilling the promise that they made to the people. You know why? Because India had been partitioned on the basis of religion, and it had been, you know, very fresh in the memory of the people. The riots during the partition, the killing of about 1 million people, you know, so many people got killed, so many got orphaned, so many were maimed, and so many lost their jobs, and so many were, you know, separated from their families, displaced and all that. And so they said that now India had already been divided on the basis of religion, and because of that the independence, it has not come only to India, but it had come to two nations, because Pakistan was born out of India. And so you know, already so many people died, so they said that how could we further divide the country on the basis of language? Means it has already been divided on the basis of religion, so how we can further divide the country on the basis of language now? And both Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, now they were against this creation of linguistic states, or they were against the creation of states on the basis of language. And after the partition, Nehruji said that disruptionist tendencies had come to the fore, and means tendency which want to disrupt the working of the nation, or tendencies, things which want to hinder the development and the welfare of the people, the unity of the people. Now they have come on the forefront, and the nation had to be strong and united to fight against all these things that rise up in the country. And Patel also put it like that the first and the last need of India at the present moment is that it should be made a nation. He said that at present the priority should be, means the first and the last, and obviously nothing in between. The first and the last thing that India needs is that it should be strengthened as a nation, and everything which helps the growth of nationalism, the love for the nation, the unity and the prosperity and the development, now that should go forward, and everything that throws obstacles or hinder the way of the growth of nationalism or unity, that has to be rejected. And he continued to say that we have applied this test to linguistic provinces, and in our opinion that cannot be supported. So what he wanted to say is that the states, now they cannot be again reconstructed on the basis of language, because that is not the need of the hour. The need of the hour is that India, it should be united, it should become strong, and it should strengthen and the unity of the people, and so that then only the country it could prosper and develop. Because otherwise, you know, once already the unity of the country had been undermined, and it had led to partition, and again they did not wanted to do the same thing. And but what happened, you know, they promised back, and now the people they simply wanted what they had wanted all along. They wanted the creation of the states on the basis of language. And so the Kannada, Malayalam and Marathi speakers, they all had looked at having their own states, and but now that was not to be. And a veteran Gandhian, means a person who followed Gandhian principles, his name was Potti Sriramulu. Now he went on a hunger strike. He was demanding the state of Andhra Pradesh, and so he went on this hunger strike, he said that till the time the state of Andhra Pradesh was not made, he will stay on a fast or he will not eat anything. And when Nehru ji, he went to campaign there during the elections of 1952, so he was met with black flags and slogans demanding that we want Andhra. So the people, they were unstoppable. They wanted the state of Andhra to be given to them. And then on 15 December, the same year 1952, Siddharamulu, he died. And as the news of his passing away, it got to the people. It engulfed the entire Andhra region in chaos. So there was conflict and confusion and violence and chaos. And the protests were so much that the center, now it did not have any other thing but to give in to the demand of the people. And so on 1st October 1953, the new state of Andhra Pradesh, it came into being. Now Andhra Pradesh was formed, and now the people, the other language speaking people, now they were also like, okay, if Andhra Pradesh could be formed, then why can't we also get our language based states? And so after the creation of Andhra Pradesh, other communities, they also demanding to have their own separate states. And so in 1956, a state reorganization commission, it was set up, and the work of this commission was to redraw the boundaries, redraw the provincial, the state boundaries to form provinces for the different language speaking group people like Assamese, Bengali, Oriya, Tamil, Malayalam and Telugu speakers respectively. Then the Hindi speaking region of North India, it was also broken up into different states. And a little later in 1960, Bombay was divided into two separate states for Marathi and Gujarati speaking people. And later on in 1966, the state of Punjab, it was divided into Punjab and Haryana, Punjab for Punjabi speakers and Haryana for those who spoke Haryanvi. Okay, so that is how the creation of the linguistic states, it came into being. Okay, have you all understood till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Anshika, are you there?
Mm,
Anshika? Navya, check, is Anshika on call?
Ma'am, she has left the call recently.
Okay. Alright, so we move on to the birth of 5-year plans. Now, the biggest problem when we got independent, so the biggest problem that faced this new nation was the problem of poverty. The people were really very poor, and the Britishers, they had really exploited the country during their rule here for approximately 200 years. And they treated India as a colony, and obviously India was a colony, so they took raw materials from here at cheap prices, sent it to Britain to finish the goods, and then again brought back and sold these goods here at high prices, thereby making huge profits. And then during industrial revolution, when it started, industrial revolution, it came in Britain first, in England first, and so their factories and mills have already started production, whereas here in India, if we take for example the textile industry, so work still went on in households and in small units. And so there what they did, they made the cloth in factories and mills, and that they again brought it here and sold it. Now this machine made cloth was cheap as compared to the Indian handmade cloth, and as a result, the Indian textile industry, now it also got ruined. And then during the British rule, there was a drain of wealth from India to Britain, because many of the people, after their jobs, they went back there, and so their pensions they were receiving there. And then if we look at India, so not many Europeans came and settled here. So though they were working here, but many times their families were there back in they're back in England. And so you know what happened, as a result of that, the money was going from our market to England, and it was not rotating in our market, and so India got poorer as and the wealth from India, it went to Britain. And so the biggest problem that faced the new nation was the problem of poverty. And in 1950 the government, they started the 5-year plans. Why 5-year plans? Because you know the term of a government is 5 years, and so that is why they started the 5-year plans by setting up the planning commission. And now the work of this commission was to assign different rules, and for example that which new industries they have to be started by the state, and then which by means which industry need to be started by the public sector, and which industry need to be established by the private sector, and then how they would achieve a balance between the different states of the country and between the different regions. Okay, what is the public sector, what is the private sector? Anyone knows here? Public sector, private sector, ever heard? Yes, anyone in class? Ashita, Srishti? No one? Alright, so you know the enterprises which are led by government, they are called as the public enterprises, and those which are led by individuals, alright, they are called as like here we have Reliance and all that. So you know it is led by Mukesh Ambani, a particular person. So that is a private enterprise, whereas those which are by the government, they are called as a public enterprises. Okay, so that is all the time we had for today. Is everything clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.